This video is brought to you by JP Fitness, where you can learn how to be a fit motherfucker, just like me. What's up, everybody?
This is the Act Man here.
And today, I actually got sent a very interesting video. It's titled, EA Did Nothing Wrong. Now, you're probably triggered. I expect you to be triggered. I'm kinda triggered right now, because I haven't seen or heard of a good argument that actually defends EA. So I'm curious. My curiosity is piqued right now. Now, this video comes from a guy named Roadman, who doesn't have a lot of subs. He's at 26 right now. So before we even get into it, I want to do this disclaimer, all right? Whether you agree or disagree with his points, don't be a fucking dick nugget, okay? This guy made a video. He's respectful about his points. He put together a decent video, all right? He doesn't deserve to be hated on. Doesn't deserve to be spammed with dislikes, all right? He's playing devil's advocate with this video, all right? Just want to get that clear before we get into it. So let's jump straight into this.
Hey everybody, Roadman here with a very different kind of video. Now, you may know me as that channel that uploads half-decent memes, not very often.
I like this guy already. Self-aware. So the first 2 minutes of this are basically the introduction, retreading stuff I addressed in my EA video, so we're going to skip to 2 minutes.
Section 1, loot boxes and gambling. In essence, yes, I see where this one is coming from, but I mean, come on. If people are this outraged by virtual gambling, where's the massive campaigning to bring down casinos and real-life gambling that is much more destructive, some would argue?
Well, there's a lot of things you seem to miss with this statement, so allow me to explain. In your first point, you use a red herring here, which is essentially, gambling in Battlefront 2 isn't a big deal. What is a big deal is gambling in the real world. You didn't make any statement about Battlefront 2 on its own. It'd be like if I were to say, man, my dog has pooped in the backyard a lot, but she's also pooped in the house, so that's the real problem. You see why that doesn't work? Both of these are a dilemma, but just because one might be perceived as more important doesn't make the other disappear. And where is the campaign against casinos and real gambling? Well, it's been going on since 1889. Yeah, I'm serious. 1889. So there's a lot of laws, regulations that have been passed, repealed, etc. I could be wrong, but I believe the reason why Native Americans can run casinos is because of that shit that happened way back, what with the stealing of the land, and so we gave some back and now it's sovereign tribal land. Here's another example. Poker is not considered gambling because it is viewed as a game of skill more so than luck. Gambling's not a new issue. What is a new issue is unregulated gambling. That's what people are concerned about here. Here's an article from VentureBeat pertaining to Valve and their skin selling system, and a quote from Washington State Gambling Commissioner Chris Stearns. In Washington and everywhere else in the United States, skins betting on esports remains a large unregulated black market for gambling, and that carries great risk for the player who remain wholly unprotected in an unregulated environment. Now, this isn't the same as Battlefront 2, but the point is many people and governments are starting to notice the similarities between some of these microtransaction systems and loot boxes with real gambling. The difference between casinos and these games is you need to be 21, but a Star Wars video game can be played by anyone. The reason you have to be 21 is because gambling can be a very destructive vice when not handled properly or responsibly. Not to mention, when you gamble for real-world stuff, you're gambling real money. It's not a gamble on virtual crap that you can't use in the real world. Gambling on a pack of Pokemon cards is not the same as gambling on a skin. Pokemon cards have intrinsic value. I can sell them. I can trade them. You can't do that in Battlefront 2. That's a long tangent, but let's move on.
First of all, no. You do not have to buy the loot boxes. You can earn them in-game easily enough.
I see people make this case all the time. You don't have to pay for them. The game provides the loot boxes for you, and therefore the problem's gone. People that say this are missing the point entirely. Well, let's say I'm offering you a gym membership for $20 a month, but you can't use the weights, the basketball courts, or anything else until you've been a member for 6 months. You can only use the pools and the hot tubs. On top of this, I say, but if you pay me $300 right now, you can skip the 6-month waiting period. Well, just because you have the option of skipping those 6 months of waiting doesn't make that offer okay. That's not a good deal. By making you that offer, I'm giving you a potential shortcut in the hopes you'll not want to wait cave in and give me the $300. It's the same principle with loot boxes. You're paying to skip the waiting period to access the full game or the full gym. Just because you can get them in-game doesn't mean the system was not built to be a massive grind in the first place, before the removal of microtransactions. Battlefront 2 offered a sense of pride and accomplishment through grinding 4,000 hours or paying $2,100. Neither of those options are okay, especially when you already paid $60 for the product.
In 4 days of playing, I now have about 60,000 credits, or enough to buy roughly 30 loot boxes.
Now, I'm glad you were able to save up all those credits and, use them the way you want. But the problem is your own personal experience and the time you've spent playing is not representative of the average player. If the system is built a certain way, you putting in more time doesn't mean everyone else will have the same luck or time to play as you do.
So you're not being forced to use real money, and the argument that it takes too long without using real money has little to no ground.
Actually, that argument has statistical proof. People have already crunched the numbers and exposed these loot boxes for heavily incentivizing purchases. Links in the description for the curious. Perhaps you never saw these posts or you doubt their legitimacy, but unless you have some other statistics or something to prove your point that it has little ground or no effect, I'm gonna go with the dudes that did the math.
The people that will take advantage of this are either A, spending their own money, which you have no right to say how they spend it in the first place, or B, getting it likely from their parents, in which case it should fall on the parents to watch what they spend and not the companies.
Well, that's what people are trying to figure out, because if this is against the law, then yes, we have a right to say how you can spend your money on it. And to a certain degree, this is true. Parents should be looking over what their kids are doing. But what's changed is when I was growing up, the only thing my parents had to look at was the rating on the front cover. If it was M, then no, son, you can't play this. But games nowadays don't tell you on the front cover if they have microtransactions or possible gambling in them. Most parents don't know about this stuff. Only the people that are in the game industry or passionate about video games know about this stuff. So these shady business practices that EA is implementing are specifically designed to target the kids and the people who don't know about it.
In summary, I'd say the loot boxes are a form of online gambling, and maybe should have some research as to where their place in video games is.
I 100% agree with that statement. They definitely need more research, and we need to figure out where their place is.
But no, EA is not forcibly squeezing money out of anyone, and like I said, I won't ever buy a crate with real-life money, and I don't feel disadvantaged at all.
Okay, yeah, they're not literally coming to your house demanding protection money.
Who is it?
Goons!
Who?
Hired goons!
Hired goons?
But as I've said, they are locking content behind a grind wall in the hopes that you cave in and pay for it.
Section 2. Pay to win. Here's where I start to take real issue. On one hand, statistically, yes, spending money on the crates and getting lots of star cards would give you an advantage, making you more likely to win. But when you go a little bit deeper, there's a lot of holes in this. First of all, skill is gonna trump star cards every time.
Well, you just explained the opposite of what you're arguing. Yes, it gives players an advantage if you open more loot crates, and if you can pay for those loot crates, that's pay to win. You are literally paying your way to perform better in the game. Here's the second point. What if two equally skilled players go up against each other? Well, the person with the better star cards is going to come out on top every time if they're equally skilled.
I've never been killed feeling like the enemy's star card was responsible. Being a good player isn't about what card you have equipped, it's about using your abilities, your environment, and your aim to outplay your opponent.
This is definitely true. Although, where do we draw the line with gameplay advantages? How much of your success in a multiplayer setting is dependent on skill, and how much is dependent on star cards? That's the question. Well, in this video I showed the difference between two cards that gives your ship more health. When one player has an ability that heals them for 15% and the other heals for 100%, the player with the 100% heal doesn't need to be as skilled or careful because they can completely bail out of a tough situation. This is Battlefront 2's progression and microtransaction system in a nutshell. You can beat someone who's better than you because your star cards give you a massive advantage.
Another point I'd like to bring up is that a player needs to unlock slots to use these star cards for a maximum of 3. So eventually, you can't keep paying to get better because you can only have 3 equipped, and eventually everyone will have 3 per class, and it should become even. The only issue I can foresee with the star card system is if months down the line a new player starts and has no star cards and everyone is running around with 3 high tier cards equipped. But that has nothing to do with microtransactions.
Yes, it has everything to do with microtransactions. You see a good progression system like, for instance, Modern Warfare 2, and it rewards players with new weapons, perks, attachments, equipment, whatever. While these things help your class become better overall, you can't outright pay for them. Everybody has to earn them, the same way. It's not dependent on RNG or pay to win. The gap between a level 1 and a level 70 player is not so big. A level 1 player would be completely outclassed by the 70. This is not the same for Battlefront 2 because the gap between an experienced player with top tier cards and a new player with nothing is so massive they stand almost no chance.
Also, the matchmaking tries to match you with players with a similar performance, so really no one is paying to win. At the very best, you're paying to play with better players who are going to kill you more often.
Well, that's a good thing if it's true, but what happens when the player base runs low? It's going to turn into a shit stomping. The core problem is the system is monetized. Never mind the fact that if what you're saying is true, the matchmaking connects players based on their skill, i.e. their star cards. Microtransactions in this case are affecting how matchmaking works. That's a problem.
And these microtransactions are why all the future DLC post-launch is completely free. Now, I may be going from a situation where I would comfortably spend no real-life money and get free DLC to one where the option to buy boxes for those that wanted to is going away, and I may have to pay for all future content as a result.
This is another argument I hear a lot. Microtransactions are okay because that means all the DLC is free. Well, first off, we don't know what that free DLC will contain or of what quality. You can't give a game an automatic pass when you don't know what is being provided. People try to excuse Halo 5's Rex because the updates were free, but about 80% of the updates were containing content cut from the previous games, adding those features back because the game didn't launch with it. That's not okay. When it comes to a Star Wars game being released alongside a new movie, I guarantee you the money made from sales would have been enough to provide free DLC if we were talking about a company with ethics and morals.
Greed is good. Greed makes you do great things. Greed makes you do great things. Greed loves old people. Greed loves old people.
The loot boxes are a decision made by greed, not necessity. Titanfall 2 has microtransactions that provided free DLC, and they didn't have to be loot boxes. So how can that work? EA takes the option to purchase loot boxes out of the game because their consumers didn't like that, because there was huge, massive backlash. They're on thin ice already, so if they go back on their promise of free DLC, that's their decision to fuck up. A company like EA has more than enough resources to take the hit and still work to provide what they promised. Not to mention, games are making more money, and EA is spending less money developing games. So the idea that the microtransactions are a necessity, I think is complete bullshit.
Also, forcing people to pay for the DLC would potentially split the community between the people that do buy it and the people that don't buy it, cutting the game's lifespan and making it a worse investment for everyone. All because people don't want stupid Carl from school to have all the cool star cards, because he has his mom's credit card.
Yeah, fuck Carl, that rich dipshit asshole. But again, if EA goes back on their word, they'll only be pissing off the people that bought the game. This is not our fault for not accepting the shitty microtransaction systems that they made. It's not our fault. It's EA's fault for expecting us to accept that shitty microtransaction system. They were banking on it, so if paid DLC is replacing free DLC, they're the ones that dug their own grave.
Section 3, Locked Heroes. Let's recap. I've been playing for 4 days and I have 60,000 credits. If this game had launched how EA originally intended, I would now be able to unlock Luke or Vader. Games have had locked things for decades. No one cried when all the armor in Halo Reach wasn't unlocked at the start. No one boycotted Call of Duty when all the guns and even perks weren't unlocked in COD.
What you've just demonstrated here is a false equivalency. You don't have everything unlocked in Modern Warfare 2 because you need to work for it. The perks and weapons come from playing, not paying. Armor customization in Halo Reach is entirely cosmetic and isn't monetized, so you've made a moot point there. People didn't boycott these games because their systems weren't purposefully created to be monetized and sell loot boxes. It was there for longevity's sake.
So why the rage about locked heroes who were not even better than the starting ones?
People are mad because EA went on record confirming and supporting the 40-hour grind, saying it's a moment of pride and accomplishment in regards to a game where you can pay for that pride and accomplishment. That's why people are pissed off.
A week to unlock a hero honestly doesn't seem unreasonable to me. In 2 months or so, an average player could potentially have every hero unlocked.
Now, I don't have the game, so you could be right about that number. Once again, your personal experience and the amount of time you have to play is not representative of everyone else, but it can help clear up, this picture and provide more insight.
And then good guy EA drops all hero costs by 75% due to backlash. But they lowered rewards by 75% too, I hear you screech. That is only the campaign rewards.
Oh man, you said good guy EA. Oh god, I'm not even going to touch that one. Not even going to touch that.
I'm not touching that with a 60-foot pole.
Yes, they dropped the cost by 75%, and you seem to be falling for the contrast principle. Because it was a 40-hour grind, when they cut it down to 10, it seems a lot less shitty, doesn't it? But it's still shitty. That's the point. That's still 10 hours of not spending credits on anything. 10 hours of pure gameplay, not including menus or wait times. That's excessive.
So now I'm sitting here less than a week of playtime and enough credits to unlock almost every hero, and I still am hearing people complain about this. Maybe it's different for people who work and are very busy. It may take much longer to unlock characters, but that's been true for every game. Casual Halo Reach players may never unlock the inclement weather effect. It just means that the ones that did felt even cooler for having it. I played Halo Reach for years and still didn't quite make it to the rank of Inheritor. Shit happens.
Once more, you're making a false equivalency between monetized gameplay advantages and non-monetized cosmetics. They're not the same. Never mind that in Reach you also got a choice and aren't in any way forced to submit to RNGesus.
Bottom line is the locked hero issue is more or less solved. They cost barely anything.
Again, I don't have the game, so take this for what it is. But I think the real issue beyond this whole fiasco is the pay-to-win economy. So while the locked hero issue might be solved when microtransactions are reintroduced, pay-to-win will be reintroduced as well.
Section 4, YouTubers.
Oh hey, I'm a YouTuber.
Late Night Gaming, a very popular YouTube channel, recently made a video about gambling and microtransactions in this game. Link in the description below.
I know Late Night Gaming. Yeah, he made a really good video on it. I'll put a link in the description as well.
He makes some valid points as to the gambling, but later he says EA wants you to be a monthly income for them, a cash cow, to be a zombie at their slot machine. To which I would say, let people who want to spend their money that way do it. It brings them happiness, and for others like myself, we get the free DLC that doesn't split a community when it comes down to it. To get a lot of post-launch content, we need to pay, be it as DLC prices or microtransactions. You don't get it for free. Take your pick.
Absolutely not. Getting your fix on an addictive substance or experience might make you happy, but it isn't always good for you. Gambling can be highly destructive, alright? This isn't a hot dog that you can buy because you like hot dogs. This is a type of gambling, and when you buy these boxes, you hope you'll get something good. It's not a guarantee. That hot dog is a guaranteed These loot boxes, nah. Spending money on the loot crates ruins gaming for everybody. It ruins it. That's why they keep putting them in games, because it makes money, because they can get away with it. They can cut out pieces of their puzzle and sell it back to you in RNG loot boxes, and it works. That's why people got so pissed over Shadow of Mordor, because it's like, wow, this game looks great, but oh shit, looks like RNG loot packs are profitable, so looks like they're gonna add them. Dead Space 1 and 2 were great games, but let's completely ruin it by breaking the immersion of Dead Space 3 with a microtransaction system in the fucking single player. You don't need to have a system like this to make money in the gaming industry. There are other ways.
Perhaps microtransactions the way Titanfall 2 does it are the future, like he suggests.
Yes, they should be like Titanfall 2. Cosmetic only, non-intrusive, doesn't affect progression, or the game at all, and you pick what you buy. It's perfect.
Then again, the reason people gamble in the first place and the reason it's addictive is the reward.
Well, if you're someone that likes gambling, good on you. Be responsible. But go to a fucking casino for your fix, not video games.
There are plenty of losers and plenty of winners. Some people may buy a crate in Battlefront and get a tier 4 star card for $1 that in Titanfall system may have cost them $5. This is just an example though, I'm not saying it's a perfect system. Just asking for people to stop the blind hate and look at both sides.
Your choice of music is interesting. I am intrigued. This is a false equivalency again, my friend. Titanfall 2 doesn't have star cards or game-altering loot boxes. Now, a smart gambler looks at the odds. And the odds of spending $5 on loot crates in Battlefront 2 is very likely not going to match what you would get spending $5 in Titanfall 2.
And Late Night Gaming also suggests that the loot boxes are not optional as they're not designed to be optional. To that I would say, I am choosing the option not to buy them. Rather, I'd save my credits for DLC heroes. Meaning to me, they are optional. By extension, whether they're optional is a matter of opinion, and honestly, I'd say they are optional, unless I can't play the game without them.
I don't remember the exact context of what Late Night was talking about, but he might have meant they're not optional in the sense that you need to buy them with the in-game currency or real money to progress your characters, in which case he's right.
The Act Man, another large YouTuber, made a video recently as well, link again in the description.
Oh, what? Hey, that's me! Oh, shit.
He says locking characters like Luke and Vader at the start and making it a moment of pride to unlock them is moronic because in their last game they were available at the start, and likens the locked heroes behind 40 hours of gameplay, something they only changed because they were caught. My response is that it's fine they changed it, it shows they're listening.
It might appear as if they're listening, but as I said, they got caught trying to poop in the urinal. They got caught.
When you duke in the urinal, it's bad. Okay.
It's not like they hadn't done huge amounts of testing, focus groups, research to refine this system exactly the way they wanted it to be. With what, 2-3 years of development time? No, they changed it because we caught them trying to shit in the urinal. Not because they have respect for their fans or their community, their consumers.
Is this good for the player?
My response is that it's fine they changed it, it shows they're listening, and it would have been fine if they didn't.
Huh?
Now hear me out on that one.
Alright. Shoot.
Let's do the math. 40 hours divided by 7 days is 5.7 hours a day, or 2.8 hours a day for 2 weeks. Assuming most gamers would play between 3 to 6 hours a day, somewhere in that range at least, it would take between a week to 2 to unlock a character. That doesn't sound that bad to me, honestly, even if you add cushion for loading screens.
My dude, I love your video thus far. I really do. I like that you're playing devil's advocate. But 3 to 6 hours a day for a week or two is absurd if you cannot spend your credits on anything else during that time. Once more, not everybody has that kind of time to grind just to unlock the option to play as those heroes. You still have to unlock them in-game. You still have to get enough points. It's not realistic. Not everybody has the same amount of time to game. Your standards don't apply to everyone else, alright? I love you. I love your video. I love you, but I'm being real.
Think about it. In under a month, everyone should have Vader and Luke unlocked if that's what they wanted. It reminds me of kids screaming in the store because they can't wait an hour for their damn ice cream.
I mean, shit, I'll wait 5, 10, 15 minutes tops for some ice cream. No way in hell am I going to stand in line for 1 hour. 1 hour for ice cream? Because I'm going to eat it in 5 minutes, unless it's the best goddamn ice cream in the world. I might wait an hour for that, if it's something exotic or highly sought after, like In-N-Out Burger. Hell, I don't think In-N-Out even has wait times that bad.
That same math shows to unlock every single star card would cost $2,100 US, which to me only weakens the pay-to-win aspect, as you would have to pay over $2,000 to really pay to win and have everything.
Well, RNGesus would probably smile on you before you spent $2,100 and give you a noticeable advantage. Even if this does weaken the pay-to-win aspects, it dramatically strengthens the presence of a shady, predatory, exploitive, manipulative, micro-gambling system.
If you're dropping over $2,000 on one game, who's the real winner? EA is, and by no fault of their own.
What? What? They made the game. They made the game this way. If you drop $2,100 on stupid digital crap, you've got a problem. You got a problem, kiddo. But you can't absolve EA's part in this because the point is that's how ludicrous they made the loot boxes in the system. They created this. They made it so you could spend $2,100 and keep unlocking things in a $60 game. Holy shit!
Are loot boxes bad?
Yes.
Yes. Are the ones in Battlefront 2 worse than other games?
Yes.
No. Should people buy them?
No.
No.
Well, we got 2 out of 3, so that's good.
If people buy them, it's because they were manipulated and addicted to gambling, and EA is the bad guy because human beings chose to spend money on things they wanted? Hell no.
If you've got a gambling problem or struggle with addiction, it's not healthy for video game companies to include this shit in their games. They are offering another way to get people hooked. This is Joe Kmille, straight up. Is it the Camel Company's fault if kids buy their cigarettes because of a mascot and ads they created targeting children? Nah, it's your kid's fault for being a dumbass and not understanding how dangerous cigarettes are. What a stupid-ass kid you got. This is why the loot boxes in Battlefront 2 are a problem, because while not as egregious as Joe Kmille, it's the same concept. Target young, impressionable kids who are fans of Star Wars with a black market gambling ring in their video games and watch the profits soar. Or, respectively, get kids hooked on cigarettes early so they become lifelong addicts. So his conclusions reiterate the points he's already mentioned and the ones I've already addressed, except for this.
I think a lot of the hate is coming from entitled people who want to feel like part of a crusade to bring down the big bad corporation. And YouTubers and people of influence are exaggerating things to garnish favor and views. So, hit me with that dislike and subscribe for more.
No, not at all. This isn't about bringing down the corporations, man. The corporations, man.
Yeah, man, the corporations. Right now, they're raping the world for money.
We're not a bunch of pot-smoking hippies with no real goals in life, alright? We're a bunch of gamers complaining and voicing our opinions because we are tired of this shit creeping its way into AAA games with a full $60 price tag. We're tired of game companies pushing the boundaries so tough, compromising their design for the sake of profits. It's exactly what late night gaming said. This is the loot crate that broke the microtransactions back. At some point, gamers were going to snap from the constant cavalcade of shitty, regurgitated loot boxes. And that's what our reaction is. All that stuff about YouTubers wanting views and sympathy is irrelevant. I know you're not saying that about me, right? In any case, every YouTuber wants views. How they get that is irrelevant to the point of this video. If I said I made my EA video because I wanted views, does that somehow discredit everything I said? All the evidence I showed? Nah. Look, man, I think you made a great video. I really did enjoy it. I disagree with many of the things you said, but I understand you're playing devil's advocate here, and I respect you as a content creator. I hope my audience respects you as well. And if the inevitable people come to your channel and shit talk or hate on you, don't get discouraged, alright? Don't get discouraged from making future videos. I look forward to seeing what you have in the future. But what do you guys think? Did EA do anything wrong? Yeah, they did. Well, post your thoughts and opinions in the comments below and subscribe to The Act Man for more awesome content. Alright everyone, that's all I got for today. This is The Act Man signing out. Peace!